Few things are cuter than a little kid with a puppy, a kitten, or even a pet goat raised since it was a baby. On the other hand, few things are more dangerous, irrational, and misguided than a government agency contracted to hunt down and terminate the life of a child's goat. This is one of the most ridiculous stories of power-hungry authoritarianism I've seen in a while. A young girl in Northern California was given a pet goat by her parents as part of a local 4-H program through the Shasta County District Fair, where young children learn to care for farm animals. The little girl named the goat Cedar. From the beginning, the arrangement was for the goat to ultimately be returned to the county fair for slaughter, because it's good to teach kids how much work actually goes into the livestock they take for granted as food. But over the course of care, this 9-year-old girl, we'll call her Ellie, had grown increasingly attached to Cedar the goat. She lost 3 grandparents over the year, and Cedar had become her constant companion. As her parents recognized that they simply couldn't put their child through that again, they embarked on a social media campaign in the hopes of getting the county officials to change their mind and let them keep Cedar. They offered to pay the county whatever money they were owed for whatever costs were incurred by the loss of the potential livestock meat. At the fair, State Senator Brian Dahl was Cedar's highest bidder, pledging $902. But by then, Ellie had second thoughts about sending her new 4-legged friend to die. She and her mother tried to withdraw Cedar from the competition, but they were told by officials that the rules forbid it. After the auction, Ellie refused to leave Cedar's side, sobbing next to him in his pen. At this point, before money had changed hands, Long and her daughter sought to terminate the contract. And according to California law, it allows that, quote, a contract of a minor may be disaffirmed. It says a child can't be held to the same standard as an adult. When she wanted out, she had the absolute right to get out. Long told representatives of the fair that she would happily pay the 7% fee that would have resulted from the sale, in this case, $63.14, and she took Cedar home. Anticipating controversy, she later took the goat to another farm in Sonora County, more than 200 miles away. But in the following days, B.J. McFarland, livestock manager of the Shasta District Fair and Event Center, the state agency that runs the fair, called Long and told her that if she didn't return Cedar, he would have her charged with felony grand theft. Long offered to let the Fair Association keep the entire $902, but McFarland wouldn't budge. She also reached out to Senator Brian Dahl, who agreed that he would not resist her efforts to save Cedar from slaughter. In an email to the Fair Association, Long wrote of her efforts to, quote, make it right with the buyer and the fairgrounds, mentioning Dahl's support and offering to pay for the goat and any other expenses she caused. But Melanie Silva, CEO of the Fair Association, was unmoved. Sylvia wrote back that while she was not unsympathetic to Ellie's plight, quote, please understand the fair industry is set up to teach our youth responsibility and for the future generations of ranchers and farmers to learn the process and effort it takes to raise quality meat. Making an exception for you will only teach our youth that they do not have to abide by the rules that are set up for all participants. In other words, we're going to teach Ellie that we all just have to be order followers because the rules say we need to. She concluded that it was, quote, out of her hands and that Long would, quote, need to bring the goat back to Shasta District Fair immediately. It's starting to sound like one of those, I don't make the rules, I just follow them type of situations. According to records received by the Sacramento Bee, Sylvia then emailed an official with the state's Department of Food and Agriculture saying that an organizer of a local community barbecue has, quote, contacted her lawyers regarding the theft of the goat donated to the barbecue. 2 weeks after the fair, Shasta Sheriff's Detective Jeremy Ashby sought and received a search warrant directing 2 officers to drive more than 500 miles in order to seize Cedar and return him to Shasta County. You would think these people had a hot tip and the funding to pursue Pablo Escobar or something. The warrant authorized a search of a goat rescue in Napa County, but Cedar wasn't there. After searching the rescue, the officers drove over to Sonoma County and took cedar from the farm, even though that property wasn't listed on the warrant. In a court filing, the officers contended that, quote, no warrant was necessary to retrieve cedar from the Sonoma farm, as they had consent from the property owner to retrieve the goat. In an amended complaint filed in February, Long claims the officers were then, quote, required by law to hold Cedar or deliver him to the magistrate, so the court could determine Cedar's ownership. But instead, they independently deemed unknown parties to be the owners of Cedar and delivered him back to the fairgrounds. Perplexingly, Long is not certain what actually happened to Cedar. She says, quote, at this point, we don't have that specific information and we can only speculate. While it hasn't been confirmed as a factual matter, we believe Cedar has been killed. Long filed a federal lawsuit in September 2022 against all three officers, alleging violations of the 4th and 14th Amendments and seeking damages. While Long and her daughter admittedly sought to terminate the contract, it's hard to imagine a worse state response at any stage of the process. If both Long and Dahl agreed to terminate the contract and Long agreed to reimburse the fair for its share of the purchase, then who was harmed? The mentally screwed up mindset and inability to prioritize and spend resources on bringing actual criminals to justice just blows the mind of any critical thinker. This is the danger of the mental cancer of authoritarians who lack the backbone to stand up and say, you know what? Since both the buyer and the seller were okay with the termination of the contract, hey, no harm, no foul. But because government agencies specialize in wasting time and taxpayer dollars, we have yet another example of an innocent party being steamrolled by the long arm of the law. If you like this video, stick around. Maybe you'll like some of my others. Check out the most popular videos section. There's definitely a couple of videos in there you'll want to see. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my private email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. If you want to support the channel further, the links are in the description, and you can buy a hard-hitting, conversation-starting design that you can put on any shirt, hoodie, mug, cell phone case, whatever you want. I'll see you in the next video.